Apple Inc. and at least one senior executive could be facing criminal investigations after being found in willful violation of a 2021 injunction that was a result of the Apple versus Epic Games case. Man, the Apple Glazers during that whole time were just insufferable.
It was rough.
It was extremely hard. Basically, man, do you have any idea how many accounts with like Apple cartoon like profile pictures that I had to ban over that like 6 to 18 months that nobody would talk about anything but Apple versus
Probably
Epic?
Not enough.
It was wild. It was like, dude, like I would read the comment, I'd be like, it can't be. Yep. Apple,
Here it goes
Apple
again.
Cartoon profile picture. I couldn't believe how strong the correlation was. And I'm not saying that absolutely everyone who uses those profile pictures is a doofus. That is not the case. I'm just saying that there was a strong correlation between doofuses and people who had those profile pictures. There were lots of people who used those profile pictures who were not doofuses. There were a lot who were.
That's a fun required caveat.
But anyway, yeah, it was really tough to sit through because it's like, I get you want to cheerlead your favorite corporation that, like, you know, wants all the money from your wallet and doesn't care about you at all beyond that. Like, I get it. I understand the urge to cheer for corporations, but it was very obvious like how antitrust Apple was being in all of this, and how you might not agree with Epic about everything, but how very obviously correct they were, at least in spirit, even if the letter of the law did protect Apple to a significant degree. Anyway, Apple is finally getting a smackdown laid on them for all of that. In an 80-page ruling filed this week, U.S. District Court Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers found that, a few things here, Apple is in willful violation of the 2021 injunction, found that to hide the truth, Vice President of Finance Alex Roman outright lied under oath, and that neither Apple nor its counsel corrected the now obvious lies. They did not seek to withdraw the testimony or have it stricken, although Apple did request that the court strike other testimony. Thus, Apple will be held to have adopted the lies and misrepresentations to this court.
Damn.
Woo!
Damn.
Dang. The judge doesn't pull any punches, and the ruling is full of quotable lies, like, this is an injunction, not a negotiation. Woo! I need another one of those. Sorry, dang.
Damn.
Apple's continued attempts to interfere with competition will not be tolerated.
Damn.
There are no do-overs once a party willfully disregards a court order.
Damn.
The ruling also makes it clear that Apple CEO Tim Cook can't make any claims that he didn't know what was going on, and notes that Cook chose poorly.
Damn.
The ruling also details multiple ways that Apple thwarted the injunction's goals, including a new 27% commission on outside sales. Oh, I guess we've never really updated you guys on what exactly it was. So the one thing that Epic won outright was that Apple couldn't stop app developers from directing users to an outside payment processor. They did say, look, Epic, you guys can't just build your own payment processor into the Fortnite app or, any other app. But yeah, you can direct people to an outside payment processor. But so the way that Apple got around it was they were like, okay, sure, you could do that, but we're going to take a 27% commission on that, which would amount to a 3% discount compared to just paying the 30% to Apple, which is not a discount at all because you're probably going to be paying 3% or more to any payment processor that you're going to be using off of Apple's platform. You can vouch for that, right? Is that about what we pay on Floatplane?
Yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah. So basically what Apple did was they introduced a brand new fee that made it not economically viable to use an outside payment processor. They also added UI changes and limitations to mislead users and scare tactics, like full screen warnings when the user tried to click through to an outside payment solution. The court has referred this issue to the USA for the Northern District of California to determine to the USA. Probably, I think they mean court. For the Northern District of California to determine if criminal prosecution is warranted. Apple says they will appeal the ruling, but in the meantime, has updated App Store guidelines to allow links to external payments.
Let's go.
Affects us.
That is so much better for us.
Because you guys might not realize this, but the reason that it sucks so much to manage your subscription from within the iOS app is that Apple doesn't allow us to do that within the app unless we pay them a 30% commission.
And we're not allowed to tell people why. We're literally not allowed to explain what's happening.
Literally weren't allowed to tell people why.
Let's go.
Got him.
This is actually so good. Even if it's literally just to tell people. That was all I really wanted. We had our app pulled from the store because it was like we tried to tell people the same way that Netflix does. And they said no. And then I screenshot Netflix's version, which Netflix directly ripped off. And they were like, no, and you can't use outside comparisons. And I was like,
what does that even mean?
So we had to just take everything back, and then we got a ton of users telling us that we were being evil because we were trying to hide people being able to cancel their subscriptions, which sucked because we really just wanted to tell people how and why we weren't allowed. So I don't know.
A U.S. attorney for the Northern District of California. That was what they abbreviated here.
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah, this is fantastic. App makers, including Stripe and Spotify, have already updated their apps to take advantage of the new guidelines, while others like Patreon and Proton have announced they are working on doing the same, with Proton CEO Andy Yen announcing a price cut of up to 30% for iOS users because, it turns out the App Store fee was just a tax. It was an Apple tax, literally, the Apple tax. And you know what? I get that Apple wants to make a profit on the platform that they built. And they should make a profit on the platform that they built. It's called the $1,500 that it costs for a freaking iPhone Pro Max. That's the profit, Apple. You made the profit. And if someone wants to use your payment processor, then by all means, provide that as a service. All Epic was ever asking was for competition in payment processors. Payment processors should not be locked in. I mean, and again, I fully comprehend the Apple Glazer argument. Well, Apple built the street, right? They built the street that you set up your shop on, so then you should use their payment processor. But it's like, what if we do actually, seriously though, what if we take that into the real world, right? So because my local government, paves a freaking road, and then I lease my shop there, do I have to use do I have to source all of my goods from them as well? Like, what is this, communism? Like, what are we actually even talking about here? No, why should I have to use someone's payment processor? Like, yeah, the software is running on their hardware, but show me an analog for this.
You have to pay an annual fee to have an app on the App Store.
Yeah.
If they really wanted, they could up that, but then there would be competing stores, and someone else will make the road.
Yeah, it's a terrible comparison. I'm over it.
I can understand.
My analogy sucked.
I can understand needing to benefit the platform that you're using to some degree. But then there's going to be competition there.
Okay, guys, I'm joking. I know. Oh man, Linus, sees capitalist greed. What is this? Communism? No. No, I know. Is joke. Sees anything you don't like. Goes, is this communism? Okay. Okay. Look, the point is, no. Just because Apple happens to own the land on which I operate my store does not mean that they get to 100% dictate the terms of what I can sell in my store and what services that I can use in order to take payment from people. No. And now that is
it's a
law.
Rough analogy. Just don't worry about it.
Now it's law. There. That's all you need to know is that now you can expect your in-app purchases on iOS devices to be more affordable. And if Google's smart, they're going to look at this and go and make sure that they're aligned with it.
Hopefully that happens. Slack messages here. Handyman has been saying that there's more to this story, including some crazy Slack messages.
Tim SP says there are some malls which try to force vendors to use certain payment processors so they can do whole mall gift certificates. So one thing that does break down in that particular example is that customers can use cash. They have the option of using something else. On the App Store, that was Epic's whole argument, is that you only have one choice, and you don't even so much as have the ability to put up a little sign that says, hey, there's a 3% discount to use cash. You have no choice whatsoever there. That's actually
that's a better analogy,
much better way of illustrating the problem here.
So apparently these internal Slack messages are just about like the language of different things. This one says, an employee said that some of the draft language for leaving the app to pay for something didn't sound scary enough, and they wanted to scare users a bit. To raise questions and hesitancy when clicking on
That's amazing.
stuff.
That's hilarious in Slack communications. Like if
continuing on the web, you will leave the app and be taken to an external website because external website sounds scary, so execs will love it.
That's hilarious. It's amazing how just like, yeah, duh, but also just, yeah, like they actually, like they are exactly as...
I will also say though, like if you're surprised by that, like, damn, dude, that level of stuff is happening at these companies all the time.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day. I mean, honestly, like to a certain degree, if you just want to compete well and be a like reasonably smart company, you're making decisions like this. Like, okay, Smash Champs. When we designed our internal flow for how people walk in and out of the building.
Exit through the gift shop. It's like the most classic business thing ever.
Yeah. We have another door that we could have used that people could walk straight onto the court, and we barred it because we want people to walk through the pro shop and walk past the concession area before they can get to the courts. And then we want them to walk past the concession area and through the pro shop before they can leave the courts.
This is very standard.
That is business 101.
That was, those messages, like, yeah, they're bad, I guess, but I'm very not surprised. I've seen way worse stuff.
Well, they're bad because of the monopolistic nature. That's what's bad.
Totally, but think about, like, the Tesla stuff when they're, like, sharing footage from people's cars and stuff. Like, we've seen way worse things. We've talked about way worse things on the show before.
But the key... The key
No, I get it. It's bad. I get it.
Is the monopoly.
Totally. I
That's
get it.
the key.
Yeah. And they're trying to push the monopoly anyways, despite losing the thing by using scary language and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying we've seen a lot worse. And if that's like surprising to you, like, dude, businesses do be doing business.
Top Gear 1224 says they do force vendors. Not try to. Customers don't have the right to use cash. Most places are card only because they don't want to deal with cash walking off. But that's not the same thing. That's not the venue dictating that customers can't use cash. That is the store deciding not to take cash.
Which benefits his argument.
Yes. That is exactly what I was saying. The store should have a choice.
Yeah.
There should be a lower cost alternative.
And that can absolutely be a reasonable choice, especially in like high crime areas.
Absolutely.
If you want to have a little sign up that says no cash on premises and you want it to be real, you need to not take cash.
Yeah. Are people mad at me about my about the exit through the gift shop thing? Oh, actually, no, not too bad. Not too bad. The pro shop's doing great, by the way.
Yeah,
yeah. In case anyone's wondering.
Yeah, I noticed you guys were low on rackets, which is a good thing.
Yeah, well, and a really bad thing.
Yeah, you got to get more, but it's a good sign that you're actually selling them.
Are we working on an update for the Floatplane app?
Well, yeah.
Okay. It'll be a bit.
Yeah.
Cool. And realistically, it's less of an impact for us because we're not charging a 30% Apple tax because we literally that's not compatible with our business model at all.
It was not going to be a thing.
Like Floatplane does not. If we were just like 30% of gross receipts, here you go, Apple. What would have been left, Luke?
It's already a thing that splits multiple ways. Splitting it another way is like
because it splits between the creator and the platform, right? and also the payment processor, which we like still have to pay. That's why you can't subscribe in the app. That's why you can't unsubscribe in the app. So we've just had people sign up on the website, like on the web, and then just like use their account to sign into the app. That's the only way we've been able to do it. So it'll work like that until such time as we can get it updated. This is interesting. Yeah, context menu says in the UK, they're talking about introducing legislation to maybe force companies to accept cash as digital payment methods are disproportionately impacting older people who still use cash as their primary or only payment method. Yeah, it's not just elderly. Like maybe that's kind of the spin on it in the UK. But I know that over here, a lot more of the people that I've encountered who are like cash only people are more like they don't trust banks, or they... it mostly comes down to like not trusting banks or not wanting their purchases tracked. Like it's kind of more of a privacy argument. And I see it both of those ways, both from like an accessibility and from a like privacy standpoint. The challenge though is like, man, like, have you seen some of those wild TikToks of like McDonald's restaurants that have been turned into freaking fortresses because they're in these like super high crime rate areas and they're like everything's barricaded off and stuff? Like, oh, dude,
wild.
I wouldn't want to handle cash if I was working in a place like that. So I don't really know how to reconcile that, man. I don't have a solution. I definitely see this one both ways. Personally, I've been almost zero cash for so long that someone handed me a $1 coin. Someone handed me a loonie the other day, and I was like, whoa, this is really light. Because it turns out they actually changed the composition of them since the last time I held one. Like I just do not use cash anymore. But I definitely understand why some people prefer it.
There is at least one place that I go decently often that only takes cash, which is really annoying.
Is it that gas station you like?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Haircuts. Oh, haircut. Yeah, I can see that. I mean, during COVID, most of the cash-only places, like the holdouts, switched to taking digital payments.
Dealing with cash at that time was tough. I'm not sure how to read this. People are saying that the Apple thing only applies to American stores.
For now.
Yeah, but that means we would not be able to update.
Couldn't we for American customers?
But that's what I'm trying to figure out. So the line is linked to other purchase methods. Developers may apply for entitlements, apply, keyword, to provide a link in their app to a website the developer owns or maintains responsibility for in order to purchase digital content or services. So sure, no problem. We could link to Floatplane's website. That's fine.
Yeah.
These entitlements are not required for developers to include buttons, external links, or other calls to action in their United States storefront apps. I genuinely don't know what that means. I might just be dumb.
I mean, we can always try it.
These entitlements are not required for developers to include buttons, external... Oh, so you don't have to apply if you're a U.S. store, but you can apply if you're not a U.S. store.
All right, well, we'll see what happens,
So we can apply, but
they might just say no.
Or just never respond to it.
Nice.
I could absolutely see that being a thing as well.
Well, yeah, especially now that their internal Slack messages and emails and everything get perused
on
a seemingly somewhat regular basis around this.
Yeah.